Well, hello, how are yous? Jeez, what a time! It's absolutely crazy. Uh, where do you even start? It's mental altogether. Um, yeah, like normally I kind of chat about what's happening in Ireland, and there's a lot happening in Ireland, but it's gone international. Numerous things are just, it's absolutely mad. Like where, I suppose we'll start with the inspiration for the title. Fucking Paddy Joe, we'll call him Paddy Joe Biden. Uh, it's one of them situations where it's just like, what was he trying to get at there? Like, there was a dig at Sinn Féin, I assume, like, but yeah, Ray should beyond belief. Like, this is the bloody Minister for Justice, or acting Minister for Justice. Like, it's it's absolutely unreal. Um, kind of should have probably thought about what order I'm going to talk about this, but it's a complete mess. So it doesn't really make a difference. Yeah, they were tearing down statues in the four white guys rolled one into a river in Bristol yesterday, and the London City Council, well, of course, City Can is the mayor there, but they're bringing in JCBs and removing statues. So now Cromwell in Galway, or not Cromwell, Jesus. Well, I wouldn't. Christopher Columbus in Galway. He's got people before profit. The Joe Loughnane crowd are looking to get him removed. It's what is on the other side of Clown World? Like it is unbelievable. I'm what, getting flustered with the amount of stuff that's happening. It's unbelievable. Like you have NGO employees and radio stations given out about the far right fundraising. It's like we've surpassed the peak of Clown World here. Like we are going galactic with the height we're hitting. Like it is mad. Like there's even things you can't even talk about because there's legal challenges going on. There's going to be more legal challenges going on, or legal defamation, that kind of thing, especially after what was said on a radio station in Cork about the fundraiser for that poor fella down in Carrigaline. Like they're probably going to use it now. The name and all that kind of crack that was put around online, photos and all. Like they're probably going to say, "Oh well, because of that, the trial can't go ahead," or something like that. You can probably see that coming a mile away. Like, but people are angry as hell. Like I have never seen it as bad. Like even flicking through my Facebook, and my Facebook is completely normie. Like it is like never like anyone bothering to talk about politics like at all on it, and they are absolutely going for the jugular in it. Like they like it is unbelievable. But they're probably going to hold it up and say, "Oh, look, it was everyone's biased now, so we can, we just have to basically release him because he's back on the street now, like, which is a crime in itself, like." But it's yeah, like even in Britain, like I was chatting to a few lads that I'd know over there, and it's a pure it's a tinderbox, like. Like I used to be in Birmingham myself, like, and Jesus, it was bad enough as it was. Like, like you see, there's another video out in Drogheda, isn't it, today? The Black Lives Matter big group of fellas wailing the head off a group of Irish fellas, they look to be anyway, and like it's like that all the time in England, and that's what we're heading towards. I think that's a blatant, like a completely, only a very unreasonable person would not see the parallels, like, which is basically the NGO employee, people before profit types. Like, it's absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. How is everybody, by the way? It's yeah, just start throwing anything you want into the chat. Obviously, maybe keep it semi-civilized if we can. Like, but Jesus, like, what you tell me, what do you think of this? Like, where is this going? I see one comment here, and I'm thinking, yeah, that seems to be where it's going. Like, you have Nigel Farage even saying it, and like, Jesus, he's fairly milk toast now, like, but he's not talking gibberish there, like. And like the police in England taking a knee, and then 10 minutes later they're getting bricks winged at them. One a police woman, nearly got her head torn off by a bloody lamppost or whatever after the protesters started pelting the horse with bricks, like, and then it just ran rampant around the place, like complete pandemonium. This is like, and I'm not overblowing this, like watching that, you're thinking that place is going to shit. It is collapsing. Like, you're basically having a plebeian revolt, and the cops and the state are going along with it. It's like, what in the name of God? Like, even in this country, you have the likes of Leo Varadkar. Leo Varadkar stands up in the Dáil and he says, the real virus is racism, I'm paraphrasing him. He should be arrested for incitement to violence. Like, we've had gang attacks, racial gang attacks in this country nearly every day since that was said. Like, what? Like, in what version of reality is what he did unrelated to what is happening now? Like, he emboldened these people, like, and it is mental. Like, even the narrative that the media have tried to spin, like there was a fella, I seen a Twitter a tweet. There was two pictures, two headlines in RTE. One was two white cops or two white whoever shoot one black jogger when he's out running or whatever, right? And then beside it, then it had the Carrigaline headline, and it's like, this one was racist, this one wasn't, and it's like, normies realize this. They do know this, like, but there's still that little bit of a skin of a wall of, oh, well, you can't really say that, but that is rapidly deteriorating. Like, there is, like, as I said on my Facebook, like, there's people and they're just outright saying it, like, and I kind of like the way that I managed to get to over 200 subscribers, so I'm not going to get banned repeating what they were saying, but you can guess where it's coming from, like. And the Dagda in the chat here. Whatever, that seems to be kind of half factual, like, But let's see, Last Tree Gale says, Varadkar wants to bring in more diversity hires into the public sector. That's going to blow up into a Rotherham if it continues. Definitely, 100%. Like, I remember I was living in England whenever all this kicked off. Like I remember I used to walk back through, there's a place called Spark Hill. I think it's Spark Hill or Sparkbrook. Spark Hill, I think the name of it is, right? Back in the 70s, it would have been a very kind of Irish area. That's why I basically started renting around the edges of that. Like, I was told, oh, yeah, there are loads of, like, all the Irish ones that used to work there, like, oh, yeah, there's loads of Irish ones living around there. And Jesus, I went in, and it wasn't, like, you can say whatever you want. It isn't an English town anymore. The people that's moved there, they're all Arabs, and they haven't adopted anything to do with the English culture. So it's not an English town. It's like, you have Savile Town in Yorkshire, and there's a town of about, what is it? It's about 4,000 people in it, and I think there's about, one family of white English left in it. Like, it's been ethnically replaced 100%, basically. Like, it's unbelievable, and it's like a proper burqa wearing town, like, and it's just madness. Like, how we've been saying this for years, and it's like, I don't know, like, I thought at this stage, when all this started happening, years and years ago, I thought whenever we reached this stage that I would be banging my head up against the wall saying, I told you so. But Jesus, it's nearly funny. Like, and it's not funny what's happening, the real life effects of violence and the absolute pathetic attempts at the left to try and hijack this now again. Like, this was like an American thing, right? Oh, wow, a drug addicted criminal that threatened to shoot a pregnant woman's stomach got killed. In any sane society, like, who would give a shit, really? Maybe his family. That's about it. He's made his family's got, what, $14 million or something out of GoFundMe. And whenever something happens to someone here, and even the narrative they were trying to spin was, oh, but that was just, that was nothing to do with anything. And then GoFundMe takes it down. It's like, come on, like, this is nuts. How do you try and, like, they've twisted so many narratives over the years now that they can't do anything about it. Like their hands are tied. Like you have in England the socialist element, the white socialist liberals, they're being told to F off from the Black Lives Matter crowd that this is about us, you know? They can't hide it. Like they've lost control of it, basically, on the ground. In Ireland, obviously, as I said, Leo Varadkar is, basically condoning violence in the Dáil. And now you have people getting attacked. And then if you try and help those people, you're getting called far right on the radio. Like, it's like, what level are we at here? Levels of absolute clusterfuckery. Like, it is just crazy. Like, it was, public service is going to be a big problem, especially like with the Gardaí. Like, they were doing this big diversity hire thing. They considered Irish a foreign language whenever they were doing it. But that is going to be a major problem, because you're going to have different values of morality working in a police force that relies on unarmed, like community policing, basically. Like it's unbelievable how they think this is going to work. Like, and the left are more concerned. I remember, like, it wasn't that long ago, they were more concerned about trying to get statues of Our Lady removed from hospitals, and this is the stage it's at now, because they just wouldn't listen. Nobody would listen. It was like, oh, folks, like, how do you get through to them? Like, it's a bit mad altogether. Like you look at Minnesota, isn't it Minneapolis? I don't know is that Minnesota? But anyways, you look at it now. It's defunding the police force, and like there's only a kind of a certain number of ways that can go. Like, either they're going to disband the police force, and the place breaks down into like lawlessness, or what they'll do. Like, I go through some of the ideas that they're talking about. That they're on about that if they get special teaching assistants in the schools, that'll somehow magically fix crime in the country. I asked one of them, I said, what about a school shooting or something like that? What do you, like, what's the plan? Does the teacher take out the shooter or what? And then they said, no, we'll educate the children. It's like, oh God, you are going in for a very rough time. Like, but it's not gonna be good if they go through with this. Like, yeah, cops in America, they take zero shit. Like, but at the end of the day, they kind of have to, because there's rough people over there. Like, there's rough people everywhere, but the States is, by sheer numbers alone, there's a hell of a lot of bad hoovers about. Like, like whatever. Fella got knelt on his neck. Shouldn't have been knelt on, really, but he wasn't exactly a pillar of the community kind of guy. Like, and what's this? His funeral service was live in England. Oh God. I seen that. I seen the whatchamacallit. I'll talk about it later. Actually, it's just kind of a conspiracy thing, like, that I thought was funny, kind of. But Minneapolis. You see, another. If it doesn't go in, like, if it does start going a bit mad, what'll probably happen is that they're going to have to replace the police with something like that. Someone at some stage is going to go, right, lads, we can't actually just remove the police. Like, so what they're going to do is set up some sort of alternative police force with a different name that'll basically be a politically correct version of the police, which is a bit terrifying, really. Like, if you're someone living in Minnesota or Minneapolis, or I keep getting the two mixed up, but you know what I mean. Like, what is that going to look like? PC police walking around the place? It'd be worse than England. Like, I remember whenever I was in England, there was often marches. I was talking about Spark Hill there. There was often marches of minorities, like basically the same as Black Lives Matter, marching up and down the road, constant, and nearly every weekend. Like, and they'd be chanting stuff like, UK, you will pay, or was it British police, go to hell, all this kind of crack. Like, and the cops are protecting them. And one day there was one of them. I wasn't even political at this stage. I was a green eye, or what you call them, completely. I had left the Shinners, and I was still a bit of a liberal, like, And I thought, oh, it'll be great. It'll be like a nice big city. It'll be all fun and cool, and there'll be stuff to do and all. And it was a complete, absolute apocalyptic wasteland of a town. Like, Like it was brutal. Like even I'll be like Varadkar now. I'll start talking about Lord of the Rings, but like I remember going down to J.R.R. Tolkien's home house. It was like this little mill, just I think it's Edgbaston or something you call it down there. And back in his day, like Birmingham was basically like a big town. It wasn't really a city. Sorry, I'm going to cough. But the like whenever he was writing about Mordor, like you know what's like if you're outside of town and you see Joe at night, the red lights of the sorry, the red lights of the town shining off the clouds, you know, it looks like Mordor. That was where he got the idea from, and it's completely enveloped his house now. Like he's in his little thatched cottage with a mill is just completely surrounded by the city, like you know. So that in itself kind of struck me, especially whenever I had to, you know, get the bus back up to the other side of the city and, yeah, kind of walk very, very quickly home because it was, they have the Sharia police there already. Like anyone that tells me, like, it's like, oh, post-proof. It's like, I got boxed one day by a gang, like, wearing burqas on the street. Big fucking 6 foot tall boys, like. And I was only there a couple of weeks. Actually, no, that's a lie. I was there a good bit. But I walked around. There was a police station there that was never open at the edge of the street. And I was walking around the corner one day and I just saw these 4 burqas standing at the corner. And they were clearly men. Like I was like, what the fuck? The next thing, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? And I was kind of like, what am I looking at? Like, and the next thing then, anyway, the hand comes up and bops me in the face. Like, I started legging it anyway. I was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. And I ran in the front door of the flat, and 2 big Polish boys came out and slammed the door shut behind me. And they were trying to, the 4 other lads in the burqas trying to get in. I was like, right, I need to get out of here. This is terrible. But that's the future we have. Like, that is the future we're looking at if people don't cop on. And this idea of Irish exceptionalism that it's not going to happen here, we'll do it better. It's been blown out of the water in front of our eyes. Like Jesus, mother of mercy. No matter, like, it doesn't matter if you have the least racist population in the world living together. There's still going to be a constant threat of a flare-up for whatever reason. And this is why multiculturalism, it doesn't work. Like, yeah, there's some sound ones, there's some grand ones, whatever. I don't really care what colour you are, tell you the truth. But the thing is that on a macro scale, and that is our nation, it just doesn't work, and that's the end of it. Do you know, like, whenever people say, like, you know, like, oh, what are you going to do? Just deport them all. And it's like, well, the thing is that it's going to self-segregate anyway, the same as it does everywhere else. Like, as I said, Savile Town's a prime example. The whole town just got took over by non-English people. And that's just what happens. And the same will happen here. It's just a case of how do we handle that. You could look at it in a few different ways. It could work in London is a kip, definitely. But yeah, you could look at it in a kind of a, like, integration. It doesn't work really. You know, even a kid, once they get to whatever 6 or 8 years of age, they are not colorblind. You know, they know that there's something different about me and this other fella that's sitting beside me, and no amount of propaganda will ever break that out of a human. Like that has evolved over millions of years. Like I remember even Ibn Joseph, you know, the exalted Ibn. She was done an article for RT, I think it was, like, you know, that basically, like, all racism, it's inherent because it's natural, basically. You know, that's what basically it boiled down to. Like, it was like, well, being, you know, not noticing race is unnatural was the fundamental crux of her argument that was twisted and warped to suit her little Irish people are terrible agenda. But yeah, it's just like, oh, you don't know whether to laugh or cry, or, you know, well, I'm fucking not crying yet anyway. I like the anger, tell you the truth, because it's great to see, like, people are actually starting to cop on, like, this isn't working at all, like, and they're watching all this crack happening across England and all, and like the headline in the BBC even, you know, 27 officers injured in largely peaceful protests. Like, oh God, like what in the name of? Like, imagine the amount of propaganda that the Brits would have pumped into Ireland over the years, like to try and like shape a narrative about Northern Ireland or whatever, and that's what they've reduced themselves to in this situation. It's like, yeah, things are definitely bad. Like, it's yeah, it's a strange one, but yeah, like I'll talk about Ireland anyway at the minute. Like the thing that I've been kind of keeping my eye on is the GoFundMe. Like it was like that was disgraceful the way that was planned out, and the way the left tried to hijack that too was just absolutely terrible. Like you have that what you call him, Malone fella, and like he was like like stirring up all this shit about the far right and all, and then that was disgraceful in itself. But then like there was actual like, and I'm pretty sure like I don't know, but I assume that there's going to be some like legal objection to what was said on Red FM, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But that was pretty clear cut. Like that was absolutely terrible what that fellow was on about. Like that is defamation of the highest order. Like there was one person that connected to the GoFundMe that he's a public figure. Like like he does have like people do respect him, but he has like a persona, or he has a respect, whatever you want to put it. I don't know, but like that's getting undercut. Like like even you could whatever way he wants to play it. I don't know where it's up to him, but like Jesus, like them lads were doing something serious. Like they raised like a great lump of cash, and it was climbing like mad. Like to be put just the brakes put on it by people whinging and complaining because they didn't get they didn't agree with political views about someone that set up a non-political GoFundMe. Like that was disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful, and especially since the far left, like they use GoFundMe for everything. As I said, like that George Floyd's family, they got $14 million off it, and what is the difference, really? Like in the sense that of the crime that was committed. Like how is it that that cop was just a racist? He used to work with him for 17 years. He knew George Floyd was a bit of a scumbag flat out. Like knelt on him, killed him. But like, what's the difference really in the grand scheme of things? Like one died and the other didn't. That fella, Jesus, my heart goes out to him. Like like the wounds that he got, Jesus, I wouldn't wish them on a dog. Like. And I hope him a speedy recovery and all, but it's going to be tough for him. And a few pound, fuck it, it's not going to help him sleep any better or whatever. But at least it's a bit of pressure off them. Like, fuck it, if we can look after some young fella, like, sure, what's the point? Like, without people fucking calling us racists and fascists and all this kind of crack, it's like, what are you on about? Like, Jesus, if that happened to me, I hope it never does. If that happened to me, like, to know those people that are like, no man, we feel for your hearts go out to you. Jesus, like that's a moving thing. Like the amount of people that donate it too, like, and I know there's more that want to donate now as well. Like, so hopefully, whenever the fund gets recovered, and the cop's wife was Asian that killed George Floyd as well. Like, and I seen there as well. I had to laugh at the Sinn Féin mural that they had the three white cops, covering their eyes. You must have seen it. Like Michelle O'Neill done a big thing. It's up on YouTube there, but like they had to change it because it was like the people realised that hang on a minute, it was a Muslim, an Asian, and or a Muslim, Hispanic, and Asian cop or whatever that was actually being depicted. So they put like VR goggles on one, give one a tan, and it was like, oh Jesus. But then Sinn Féin, like, they started getting ratioed and that to turn the comments off and everything. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, that kind of loops back to the Charlie Flanagan thing as well. Like, for people with short memories, it's like, oh my God. Charlie Flanagan. I'm just going to refer to him as what do they call him? Vicky Joe Biden or something, like, some kind of Irish version of that, because he's what it must he be thinking in his head, like I know his like he is kind of a vested family interest in trying to quell all this stuff, like, but yeah, it's just crazy. Like, he's the Minister for Justice, and his daughter is black, and it's like him going on about brutality or like guards. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, but yeah. Anyways, the left, yeah, disgraceful as usual. But they're so hypocritical now these days too. Like, it's crazy that they're like, say, Leo Varadkar stoking up that crack, all this crack that's happening now in the country. Like, him stoking that up with that speech, and the left then, for how long? As long as we've been active and going about, like, say, the National Party, we've been called like, oh, but Jews are, inciting violence and all this kind of shit. And it's like, no, like, we're literally telling you, we were telling you all along, this is going to happen if you don't fucking listen. And they didn't listen, and now it's happened. And now you have the Taoiseach stoking it up, and the left are in absolute knots because they don't have a clue what to do. So what are they talking about? A Christopher Columbus statue in Galway. That's their height. That's what they're able to go at now. Like, it's completely ridiculous. Flanagan probably has some serious skeletons in his closet, says Mr. MacGyver. Yeah, well, yeah, I would say so. Like you think, it was the Fine Gael, wasn't it? The Fine Gael Minister for Justice, Leo Doherty's father. He tapped all the journalist phones back in the 80s. Like, I've no doubt that there's a lot worse than that going on now, but it hasn't come to light. Like, I've no proof of nothing yet, but I would say it's probably floating around there somewhere. Like, and yeah, like, I don't know. I heard there was a fella, another YouTuber there, was talking about the chances of August election as well. Like, yeah, that'll be an interesting one, all right. Like, considering the place could be in flames at that stage. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But Flanagan, I wouldn't trust him as far as I'd throw him. But yeah, it's kind of like Ireland now is in the news. People talking about it from Romania to DC, like, and I'm looking forward to seeing it get resolved, like, for the sake of that young fella, because like, even like, it's such bullshit to have to deal with. Like, imagine being that fella, and like, coming out of the hospital or whatever, and having to listen to all this shit. Like, he would, like, I wouldn't fucking enjoy it myself. Like, but it's something that has to be highlighted. It's unfortunate, like, but yeah, hopefully he gets a bit of peace and a bit of rest, and everything works out for him. But yeah, it's a shit situation, all right. Like, but like, even say up in Coolock there the other night, I was hearing reports of gangs facing off against each other, and I was listening to, but I got that video of whatchamacallit, Drogheda today, wasn't it? Drogheda or Dundalk or something, somewhere in Louth anyway. And yeah, it's like, that's what we knew would happen. Like, that this is why people start self-segregating. Like, you're never going to be able to quell intrinsic genetic facts. Like, you just can't get rid of them. And like, that's why it's a case of, like, yeah, it kind of goes from one to the other. You have a whinging minority, and eventually it gets to the point where if you start bowing to them, like as the British police are literally doing, that they just start running rampant and taking over. Like, that's why multiculturalism is just a complete pipe dream, a complete fantasy. Like, I remember when I started getting into this stuff, it was like all conspiracy and all that kind of crack. This was before even Ireland 2040 was announced, like, where they were going to import another 500,000 foreigners. Then they were going to, breed the other ones that are here to increase the population by 1 million. While the native birth rate is down. Like, we're already at 81% Irish. So yeah, it's not conspiracy anymore. Like, the numbers work out that, On the current trajectory, I think it's what 2060 will be a minority, but it's probably going to accelerate as things go on. Like they're on about the 20, what is it, the 27th amendment now, the birthright citizenship one that was won in an absolute land or lot. The government couldn't get it passed in landslide. It was 80-20 or something, and that was brought on by nurses because they couldn't handle the amount of like foreign children being born in the maternity hospitals. Yeah, it'll be like they have such power with the media now. It's a bit mad altogether. And we're definitely making inroads at creating our own media. There are lads, good nationalists that are setting the pace. And it's great to see that we actually finally have the beginnings of a proper media in this country. And the other media are absolutely hating it. They despise this crack. And I can't wait till all the big stories about. Well, there's been a lot of big stories really over the last couple of months, but whenever they start going after things like the Simon Cumbers Fund, it's funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs, greasing up young journalists like Saoirse Pollock or Pollock or whatever her name is, all that kind of crack. Whenever that becomes part of the public psyche, which it will, because people know the media are full of shit. Even without the whole Trump hashtag fake news, people know they're full of shit. And there's very, very few that would agree. I don't know, Fintan O'Toole, low energy, very low energy. I remember canvassing, and I actually got chatting to this woman. She was elderly enough, and she living alone, and she was quoting Fintan O'Toole, it's just oh God, God help her, really. At the end of the day, it's not her fault. I think it's just that when you're being raised in a cage, as I say, you're going to stay there. We're swirling down the toilet faster and faster, says Colin Mack. We are definitely. But the great thing about that, I was thinking of, I was doing a bit of work outside, and there was water sitting in a tank, and I pulled the plug out of the tank, and I thought it was a metaphor for how things are going. It's like the stuff going down the drain is the lefty kind of idealism, and then the plug getting pulled out, that was the kind of a nationalist view of things. You have basically the left are they're all over the place now at the minute, as I said, with the English situation, that the socialists are basically starting to get kicked out of this Black Lives Matter thing, that they're not going to benefit from it at all. And then you have people that are copping on to this, and they're the plug and yanked out all that crap. So yeah, it's polarizing. Things are definitely polarizing. John Paul Williams, he says, unfortunately, when this kicks off proper, our health service will be even more overwhelmed, and the native Irish will have to use private healthcare, while the stabbed non-Irish take up the hospitals. Yeah, this is the thing. Even in England, there, whenever I was there anyway, it would have a massive. I should probably put up a link or something whenever I'm doing this here, because I'll probably get a fact check claim or some crap like that. But no, it's widely available knowledge that the Pakistani community, because of the habit or the culture of intermarrying with their cousins and nieces and all that kind of crack, that they have a massive birth defect percentage as they are of a population. And I witnessed that with my own eyes. Whenever I had to go for, I was working, I had to get a national insurance number, so you have to go to the job centre to get paperwork signed or whatever. And I'm pretty convinced, apart from the people working there, I was the only one in the room that could speak English, and there was a lot of people, and there was God help the kids, they were disabled, but I doubt the parents were bringing there to get them a national insurance number to start working. That would have been a hell of a lot of money moving through that place for payments. Per child, a lot of them. There was a few Polish families, all right, and they looked like they done a bit of work, but the vast majority were non-European at all. But that's what happens. Like, especially then you have NGOs that exist nearly solely to inform these people about what they can get for free too. Like, like all the rights that they have, everything that the government has to do for them, all that kind of crack. Like, that's all taken care of. They're not like us, like basically in that sense anyway too. Like that, we're just kind of expected, right? You're finished school now. You've got two options: get a job or go to college. And that's it. Then, like, you're basically on your own after that. And yes, consanguineous. I can't even pronounce that word. Consanguineous. Close enough. Yeah, consanguineous relationships in the Pakistani community. But like, a thing I found absolutely incredible, like whenever I was living in England too, was whenever I moved over there, I was so unknowing of any of this crack that I could barely tell. I didn't even know the difference between a Muslim and a Sikh at that stage. Like, and I was kind of like, what, like, someone explained to me the difference. Like, like, oh, they don't really get along. I was like, all right. And I got chatting a few Sikhs, got chatting a few Muslims, whatever. And, I was kind of like, well, yeah, I like one group's a lot more than the other group. Like, they're a lot friendlier, they're a lot nicer. And I started asking them, well, both of them, both groups, at different times. Obviously, they don't like really meeting each other. I was just asking them, like, oh, explain your ideologies or your cultures or whatever to me. And the Sikhs, like, they have to carry 5 things at all times. And since the 1600s, they've had to carry knives at all times. Like, any Sikh you meet has a knife in their pocket. But like, usually it's ceremonial, but some of the younger lads will just carry blades, like, But the thing is that violence in Sikh communities, like knife crime, is incredibly low, like to the point that it's nearly non-existent, because it's a religious artifact for them, like, because their homeland in northwest India or whatever was invaded by Pakistanis, or the modern Pakistanis, in the the 1600s or something, 1400s, something like that. And basically since then they've had a religious order that they have to carry knives to defend themselves against Muslims. And like, where you get a heavy pub, like, it's nuts. Like it's nothing about the white Irish or whatever. Like, the whites have nothing to do with this. Like, you're basically, like, how incompatible can you get? Like if a Muslim kicks off, a Sikh in Birmingham will often be the guy that saves your ass, not the police, not a local. It'll be a Sikh guy that'll come to your help. Like, and one of them did one night for me, all right. Like, and another night it was actually Irish travellers that saved my ass from getting freaking knifed apart. Like, so I have a bit of respect for them now. Well, I've quite a bit of respect for some travellers. All right, like, they're not all arseholes. Like, sometimes they're actually pretty sound, but when you're generalizing, there's obviously a lot of problems in that community. Like, like even John Connors, he was saying last night on Twitter, it was about suicide rates, I think, and different problems that travellers have that they're put on the crime database from birth and stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, like, on a practical level, you can kind of see why that happens. Like, but it's not nice, like, obviously, but it kind of cuts out a lot of work, like, trying to figure out who done what, like, especially with thefts and stuff like that. But no, I think there is definitely a way that travellers can get sorted a bit easier, but it's not by wedging them into the system that we have now. Like, the first videos I put up was about black gangs don't take on the travellers. You're damn right. That is for a reason. I wouldn't take them on myself, really, unless it was kind of forced. But no, like, as I was saying, like, some of my first videos that I put up on here was about a Gaelic Ireland, and that would suit travellers, and it's kind of it's cherry picking, like, the best system that the Irish can adopt, and it suits the travellers too, because they're Irish too. Like, they have a broadly similar culture, like, obviously there's a lot of difference, but they're broadly similar in a lot of ways, especially like organizational ways to the Gaelic system, because obviously they're kind of still they have some modern variant of it, like. But like even things like say the halting site, that the king of the halting site, that it's on him. Like if things go wrong, like if people in his community are robbing and thieving or whatever, he gets the blame for it because he'll sort it out. Like he'll get the young ones to kick all shit out of the second the boys that's causing trouble. Like whenever you have people that don't feel part of the community, because this is what I don't get about integration. Like if they're part of the community, then they lose their culture, but they don't want to lose their culture, so they can't really integrate with the community. Like, so what do you do in that situation? Oh, well, they don't get along basically. Then you end up with London, So yeah, that's just my kind of idea about that. Like, and yeah, there's some bad travelers. Like, I've met a few of them, but I know a couple of travelers like that I would have been in school with too. Like, and broadly speaking, they're sound enough. Like, they'd be had a kid or two. You see them going around town. They're not robbing and stealing and fighting and all that kind of crack. Like, they're just, how's things? How are you? Nice to see you again. Sound people. Like, I'd like if they were able to live a half decent life. Like, but yeah, I don't know. When I was let's see now. Majority are criminals in some way or another. Yeah, but in some way or another, Like I like honestly, like in the town I live in a few years ago, travelers walked in there was an auction for a house, and they walked in and they said, how much is the house going for? And the fella goes, whatever it was, 80,000 punt, I think, or whatever it was at the time. And he reached into his jacket and he goes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000. There you go, in cash on the table. And it's like, well, you're clearly not declaring tax on that, sir, aren't you? So yeah, definitely there is a lot of that crack, especially too with Dole as well, like that. Everybody's John Ward kind of thing. It wouldn't be particularly difficult to start scamming that if you have a group of like 1,000 people with the name John Ward or McDonough or whatever. But yeah, so there'd be travelers have changed their culture to suit their pockets. Yeah, I could agree with that now. All right, like even in the 1960s, say, like I do listen to older ones, and they'd be talking about like people used to be delighted to see travelers coming back whenever they were like the proper travelers, basically, not the Nike wearing boys, like the boys that used to come and fix pots and stuff. I actually got to meet one of them lads. He was a real craftsman. Like I forget his name now, but he was on the TV there a while back. I think John Connors was on with him. You do see him he goes to like tractor shows or car drives or whatever, and he has like a pickaxe and a piece of timber or stuck in the base of a log of a tree, and he just takes out like a bit of copper or a bit of aluminium or whatever, a bit of sheet metal, and he just sit there with a piece of like a stick and just curve it around in a circle and stick a handle on it with a wee popper of it and put a base in it. And like he's a tinker, like a proper old school tinker, and it's a talent and it's skill. And it'd be great if metal work or something, that was part of their original kind of way of doing things was pushed among them, like, instead of like most of the travelers now, like, and I think it's sad really that a lot of them that go to college and get and get degrees in something, it's like sociology and all that kind of crack. Like I want to see traveller engineers, like, like the best damn tinker you ever seen in your life. And that'd be great, like, and it'd be part of their culture too, like, and maybe they, a lot of the old ones, like even bringing back cant, would be nice. It'd be nice to see, like, because like, I remember I had a teacher in school, like, and he could speak a good bit of cant, like, but he's dead now, like, but he was a well intelligent fella, and it was funny, like, because he would be talking about, he was the kind of teacher, he'd be talking to him, and if you used a bit of slang, he'd tell you, about it. and there was different bits of slang that we used around our town, and it was can't like. So that was interesting, like, and it is it's a fairly nice language at least, like, milk, I forget it, was it called muck? Milk is muck or something like that. All this kind of crack. But Ted, he's got great hands. I have a few bits he made, copper cut. Oh, is that who it is? Yeah, I got like whenever I got what you call them, like a wee flagon cup or something, and he was like making like people were just like, oh, I'll buy a coal shuttle off you, and he'd be like, yes, I no bother, just throw out a bit of tin, rattle it together. Or he'd be like, give me €40, like, and the thing would last a lifetime, and Ted Mohan, yeah, that could have been the guy, like, he was an old fella, good old fella. But John Collins from Finglas in Dublin, his nephew is a qualified doctor. All right, I didn't know that now. But I remember whenever I was in school too, like, I kind of nearly have, well, a majority of, like, I was in school with a couple of travellers, like, and one was kind of a bit mad in the head, the other was sound, like. But yeah, it was kind of, I find them interesting more than anything, because the old travellers, like, a lot of them would have had, been fond of the sauce, like, and they would have been drinking during the day or whatever, but they'd chat to you, like, and you'd be going down the town and they'd be sitting at the bus stop or whatever, and you'd be chatting away to them, and they'd be interesting chaps, like, but I think there's a lot of the young ones never bothered learning any of this stuff off them, like, and I was only kind of in passing learning that, just chatting them maybe once a week or something like that, but I found it very interesting. But yeah, hopefully things do kind of get sorted out for them a little bit, because as far as minorities go, the travellers definitely aren't the worst of them. Like, where they've got problems, and there's what you call isolation and all this kind of crack that they're going to complain about, like, because they're not part of the mainstream culture in the country. It's the same as nationalists, really, like, well, at the moment. But yeah, hopefully it's because they'd be a better friend than an enemy, like, especially for us, because, like, a lot of our goals, like, well, mine anyway, as a Gaelic nationalist, a lot of that would overlap with what travellers are kind of looking for, and not this, like, oh, give us more or whatever, but in the actual cultural side of things, like, I would side with a traveller over a British nationalist, basically, would be my way of looking at it. And yeah, I suppose that's all I can really kind of say about that. Hopefully John Connors contacts me at some stage, we can organise the revolution properly. But until that happens, I suppose I'll just kind of have to keep, just keep chatting about them. But yeah, there was what else is happening? Oh yeah, Brussels is on fire. We're winging bricks, or like. In solidarity with Lloyd George now, they're, looting Louis Vuitton and Gucci shops. Like, it's kind of like, Jesus, that's another thing normies are, copping on, that they're like, no, this is just a flat out riot. Like, so it suits me because it's the truth, So, yeah, definitely very, very strange situations we're in. Completely predictable, but not seen in this country, Jesus, for a long time, like, not in my lifetime, not probably in, well, maybe the 60s in Derry, like, Apparently London is set to kick off this Saturday. Well, like, rough, like, or we'll find says in the chat. The travellers are effed, though they have a load of left-wing at the end. Yeah, the left-wing NGOs is just, that's what's wrecking the travellers, like, between, like, there was a policy in the 1960s to house the travellers, and that's what really wrecked them, like, because it basically just put them in the lowest position of an alien culture, like, and that's like, undoing that. Like, I would love to see haunting sites that they are running themselves. Like, I don't want to be paying for their water, basically. Like, they can run the pipe into the place, they can clean up the toilets after them. If some of them break it, they can fix it, And I think that's the best. Like, let them have, a couple of as many haunting sites as they want, really. Like, but as long as they're not, expecting us to pay for them. Yeah, perfect. Like I think definitely let them. If they want to go to a settled school or whatever, yeah, let them in. But they have to play by the same rules. No special treatment. Like would be the best job. I think anyway. And it sounds corny. Like we could learn a bit from them too. Like I like their king system, and I like the way they fight too. Like in the sense that there's a bit of honor to it. I have a friend. He was in one of the bare knuckle boxing fights with them. It was quite a strange situation. Like, but he was well able to handle himself. Like so he thought he'd do it for the crack. I think he won as far as I remember. But yeah, there's Garrigal, there is a traveller guy not far from you and his sons. He is a proper patriot who loves Padraig Pearson's values. I've actually met a couple of very intelligent travellers around here now. Kind of lucky that way. There's criminality in it too, obviously. Like, but there's one fella. He sells the tools. Like he'll pull up to your yard, but he won't get out. He'll always like you could sit even if he didn't know you were there. Like he'll just sit in the yard in his van and not get out. Until he's invited to step outside the van, and he'll sit there for a wee while, and if nobody comes, then he just drives on again. Like, nobody has any trouble with him. I don't know where he's getting the tools. I know, I tell you the truth, but yeah, he doesn't get them out of my yard anyway, or any of my neighbours' yards. So happy enough with that. But yeah, there's definitely. I think that's about as far as you can kind of realistically stretch the minority narrative as to someone that at least isn't completely incompatible. Like, that that we have lived beside them forever. They're probably just as close to the Gaelic way of life as the kind of average rural fella now. Like, but hopefully they can. See beyond this leftist bullshit that puts them in this victim mentality. Like that's the biggest impediment to them fixing their communities, like, and sorting out things like suicide and obesity and all that kind of crack that just nobody wants to be around. Like, and hopefully we can work things out with them as communities. Like I have a bit of an affinity with them, really. Like, so I'm kind of biased. I like the guys a lot of the time. And I think their jokes are absolutely, their sense of humour is fantastic. Like, by and large, obviously they get dicks too. Like, but I remember there was one. I was in Tipperary town one day, and I was having fucking great crack with them. Like, nice to visit. But yeah, I suppose the difference then would be like whenever you get like say the likes of the Sikhs and the Muslims, like you can't really compare the minority difference between Sikhs in Pakistan and that gets exported abroad then, like to Birmingham, to the point where people are just arming themselves with knives, like it's a religious experience. So yeah, I don't know, like, throw something into the chat there if you want, like, because I kind of went so far off track there. I was talking about Minneapolis and the cops. Like, it'd be cool if the Tinkers had I don't know if we're allowed to use that word, but anyways, I use that. But I don't mean it negatively, like, because that's just what they were always called in my house. But they'd be it'd be some job if they were like they had their own police force now. It'd be it wouldn't be bending any knees now for Black Lives Matter. That's for sure. could be riots starting in the other direction, but. Yeah, I remember that one night actually. I was out in Sligo, and some African lads stole a girl's purse, and it turned out the girl was a traveller. And Jesus, it was hairy. Like, I've never seen boys bigger lads running as quick. Like, I think they got him. They got him around the corner. Like, So I don't know what happened to him after that, but yeah, he learned his lesson. Anyway. So. Making you jealous. Everyone's. I don't live far from here, like, but they make a mess of the site now. In fairness, like, but they. I don't think there's two. Like, I haven't personally even had anything lifted by them that I know of. Anyway, fucking stuff gone missing over the years. I never know. Like, whenever I was young. our shed. We had a shed, and it was in a town, and my father used to give the young travellers a few quid, like, be like, look after the shed, and nothing ever went missing, like, So yeah, there's definitely a couple of diamonds there, like, kind of sound lads, but they're not going to do it for free, like, which is fair enough. They're probably the most right wing group in the country, really. Right wing nationalist travellers. That'd be a force to be reckoned with, like, especially because the left then would have to completely denounce them after making them victims for fucking 20, 30 years, like. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, there's like the likes of that Pavy Point and all, like, they might do a good turn for them once or twice, but most of it, what I see is just victim narrative, fostering that kind of mindset the whole time. So yeah, wouldn't be dying about them. But yeah, anyways, yeah, the whole world's falling apart anyway. Travellers might save us. John Connors, King of Ireland. Yeah, the GoFundMe. Yeah, definitely. Whenever it goes back up, most of you probably have, or whoever can afford to has, like. But it'd be nice to throw a few quid to that fella again, like, and kind of maybe get a bit of steam built under it again after they completely derailed it. The momentum it was building. So maybe if you could even share it around and stuff, even with normies, like, because it's, people are angry about it, like, and rightly so. So yeah, it was nice. It was nice that it got covered. I'd listened to like YouTuber Romanian V. He was talking about it, like, and I think he said it pretty well, like, maybe it's good. If you don't watch him, he's worth watching. And again, squeaky voice Romanian, but he's fairly on point. He's a bit of a commie at times, like, he'd be slightly more liberal than I am, like, but he's worth listening to. But yeah, it's kind of. I suppose I should probably apologise for the amount of cursing I done in my last stream. It was I was very hot-headed that evening. I kind of calmed down about halfway through it, like, but I don't think I cursed too much today. I don't know if I'm not up to date on what constitutes a racial slur these days either. So maybe I might have used one or two in this stream that I'm unaware of. But yeah, so the way things are going now at the minute, I think it's a complete up in the air kind of situation now. Like, and it's hard to know what way this is going. Except it's not going to go fantastically well for a lot of people, like, especially abroad. And hopefully things kind of get some form of normality, like, because this every time you look at RTE, they're pushing some. I was called a black whenever I was 14. I'm 38 now, and Ireland's a terribly racist country, and it's like, oh, great. There's gangs kicking the head of people, always saying that it's not a racist incident, but they're not really baiting up their own, are they? Like, and there's very few clips I've seen that they're actually just attacking amongst each other, which is strange enough. Like, usually they start fighting, but from my time in England. But yeah, hopefully by next week there's some modicum of sanity returned to the world. I wouldn't be too hopeful about it, though. I'd say it's going to be a bit of a snowball to China, this one. But yeah, we'll see how many statues get taken down in the meantime, anyway. And I was called Freckleface. Where's my reparations? Yeah, so but gingers used to get awful dogs abuse, like, whenever we were in school, like, wild bad. Like, it was worse than anything any Africans were called, or like, it was far worse. Like, there was a couple of Muslims in the school too, like, and they got. No, it wasn't too bad, like, so no, they didn't really get much with the gingers. It was tough. A couple of them snapped now and again, like, you racist against gingers. That's what I used to say. But yeah, it was pretty funny, really. Looking back, I think they still have a bit of a chip on their shoulder too, though. So we might have to set up an NGO for gingers, considering they're like what, fucking half of 1% of the world's population, or even less. Like, yeah, they're not trees with roots, free to move. Damn right, that is the way. Like Jesus Christ, if I wasn't wanted somewhere, it'd be a real dick to just push it all the time. Like, expect everyone else to do what you want. Imagine us heading into Nigeria and saying, "Hey, we have to stop doing all this stuff." What would be said to us? Like, good luck. And yeah, so it looks like it's kind of barreling towards that direction anyway. And the media's moving towards complete propaganda at this stage, so it'll help us really, like, because they're saying like, oh, we're recruiting online and all. It's like, well, it's people contacting us now. That's kind of like, what the hell is going on here? Like, so yeah, hopefully it works out, that the country doesn't turn into a complete absolute dump. Like, there's places in Minneapolis that look like you'd mistake them for Somalia or Syria. Like, there's that many buildings burnt down, including the police station, and shops burnt out and looted, like cars burnt in the streets. And that's multiculturalism. That's what happens. Like, but yeah, hopefully the normies cop on to that before we end up in a kind of a Viking versus Gael situation again, because that wasn't fun the last time, and it won't be fun the next time either. So thanks for listening to me rambling for like the last hour. But yeah, it's just kind of like, where is this going? Like, and it's a case now, like, just hopefully people, like, and I'm not telling people to dox themselves or whatever, like, but like, getting our faces out there now, like, is the main thing. Like, that they're portraying us as these, like, faceless, far right, whatever. And just, if you're feeling up to it, I'll probably do it myself soon enough, like, and just put the face out there, like, and just say, look, I'm willing to go on the radio, I'm willing to talk about whatever, because that's the next stage of this now, like. And yeah, I'm not telling you to do it, like, but if you feel like you want to, especially if your circumstances allow, like, because there's some great, absolutely fantastic people that really, like, would be a massive benefit to this country, like, but at the moment they'd be anonymous, like, so hopefully anyway things settle down a bit, because, like, Antifa especially, like, they're assaulting people across the Western world, like, breaking into shops. We're not immune to it here in Ireland either, like, a couple of assaults going through the courts as well, like, and yeah, so hopefully, I think we're moving up to the next stage now. And we are, yeah, Paul McQueenie, exactly, showed him we are ordinary Irish people. You're damn right, like Paul, Larry's a carpenter, people identify with, like, Charlie Flanagan, what did he work as? Is he a career, Paul? Leo Varadkar, he done 6 months as a doctor. Like, people don't identify with this, like even Joe Duffy there, like, he's on what, 400 grand a year or something like that, and is it, or 200 anyway? And like, he was talking about the racism in this school. What is it, €20,000 a year to attend it? Like, and it's like, yeah, RT, you keep going there, keep at it. Like, just play into the South Dublin crowd, and I started messaging MSN radio shows, and they have read out a few of my messages. Yeah, this is it. Like, chip away every day. Like, and like, you got to think too, whenever you do that little bit of chipping, you're setting it up for someone else to chip, and eventually, like, the narrative is going to be completely failed. Like, it has completely failed with us already, obviously. But to get it out to normies, like, normies are going, what is going on? And they need someone to explain it, or give them some information to explain this, like, because it's like cognitive dissonance, like. So yeah, now is the time, like, and yeah, like, lockdown's ending, so it'd be a nice time to get active again, like, me, whoever in real life that would be kind of supporting what we're talking about here, that yeah, get them, just get them out and doing something. Like, there's going to be a lot of events, like, around the National Party especially, that are going to be happening, like, so turn up for the day and have a chat, and maybe mull things over, or ask some questions, or bring a friend along. We'll have a picnic. Not a Leo Varadkar picnic though, there'll be women around. So anyways, yeah, on that kind of on that crass note, I'll probably end it anyway. And wish you all the best. And yeah, I'll chat to you again soon. Good luck.